All the unique characters.
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legacy.
All the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen, for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 91 of Forged in Ohio. My name is Jake Murren, and I'm the host of the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the recent trend of amateur prospects joining me on the show. You know, we had Alexander Hazelwood on, and most recently Jacob Toth on episode 90. And today I'm thankful to be joined by yet another amateur fighter who has been making some noise since debuting just over a year ago. This Apex Fight Systems product is 3-1 through 4 fights with about 9 minutes total of cage time. MB3 Matt Brown has never seen the judges' scorecards. Let's bring in Matt right now. Thanks for coming on the show, and welcome to Forged in Ohio.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on the show. There are so many interesting elements to your last fight, which is why I want to start there. You beat Talon Pallard just over a month ago at a BCM show and took it on 10 days' notice. Why'd you step up to take the fight on such short notice?
Well, I'm always training. I'm always at Apex at least 6 days a week. Well, that's all we have, 6 days a week. But yeah, I'm always trying to stay ready for the opportunities that come up, just like this one. Roman and Mylan Parabek, they actually asked me about the opportunity and said, yeah, take this fight, because they've trained with him before. And yeah, they were like, take this fight, you got this.
Yeah, so how ready were you for the fight before getting the call, and how hectic were those 10 or so days?
I was pretty ready. The only thing I was concerned about was my cardio. I like to be overly prepared. I definitely think that I could have had better cardio, but with 10 days notice, you got to expect that your cardio is going to be worse than having 2 or 3 months to prepare for one, you know?
Stepping up on such short notice can be a really valuable experience for fighters, let alone a 22-year-old amateur on the rise. What did you learn from those 2 or so weeks in late July?
Just that you're always ready for the opportunities that might come up. You know, just in the past week, I've been asked to have like 2 or 3 short notice fights. And yeah, I always want to be ready for those opportunities that could potentially be there. And yeah.
Did that experience open your mind to potential future short notice opportunities? Obviously, everyone prefers to get a full camp in, but there is something to be said for having done it before and knowing that you could do it again.
For sure. It gave me a lot of confidence. I was worried just because I only had 9 days to prepare. And yeah, I always want to be ready for those opportunities. And I always want to be training 24/7 for those opportunities and just for my benefit to get better every day.
So since you didn't have the chance to put a proper camp together, what was the game plan like heading into this fight?
The game plan was, because he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and that's the only way I saw him beating me, was catching me in some kind of submission. That was literally the only way I saw him beating me. So my plan was to do the opposite of that and try and stay on the feet as much as possible. I know it ended up on the ground, which I was not happy about, but yeah, the game plan was to stay on the feet and bang.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny that you say that because most of the fight took place with you on top of him in a dominant position on the ground. When you're in that position, are you wary of those potential submissions that he could pull off from his back?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was only really preparing because I was really just preparing for like the triangles, the guillotine, especially the guillotine, because I saw that's how he won his first fight. Yeah, I was just preparing for any possible submission that he could have thrown up on his back.
Another element of this fight, and you mentioned them already, Roman and Mylan Perobek cornered you as your head coach, had a family emergency you wrote on social media. I'm assuming that's Brian Clark, who was on episode 85 of Forged in Ohio. Was that your first time fighting without your head coach by your side?
Yes, it is. And yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence that I can do it with two 19-year-old kids that, you know, they gave me the opportunity, and yeah.
What is that experience like? Maybe it's more loose without your head coach there. You know, like you said, it would be different if the Perobek twins weren't 19 years old. Like, it's two 19-year-olds. You're 22 years old as the fighter. Like, that's a very weird setting, I guess, for an amateur to be competing in that setting.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous knowing that I probably wasn't going to have my coach there. He said that the day before that he wanted to get there. He wanted to be there as much as possible. But yeah, and then that happened in the morning. Yeah.
So how do you adjust to that when, I guess, it's the day of the fight that you realize that your coach isn't going to be able to make the trip and you're not stuck with the Perobek twins? I know they're obviously very experienced themselves, but you're going to be missing that element going into this fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a big deal for me. He's definitely a big deal for me, but I knew I already signed up. It is what it is, and just had to put my head down and go to work.
So how did Roman and Mylan do in cornering you? I know a lot of the first round especially took place right in front of them while you had control on the ground.
They did a great job. They were calling out stuff. I could hear them. Yeah, they did an amazing job. They couldn't have done any better, honestly.
It was your first time going to the second round through your first 4 fights so far. What was that like, going to the stool for the first time and actually being coached by your corner between rounds?
Well, I didn't plan on getting there. I didn't want to go there, but it was nice knowing that I could get there. I wanted. I'm sorry, man. I'm just blanking right now.
So you go to the second round, you're sitting there on the stool. What was going through your head digesting what happened in the first round and heading into the second one? Did you know that a finish would be near, or how were you feeling heading in to the second round for the first time in your career?
I kind of just was looking at what I did wrong in the first round, and knowing that I wanted to just stay on the feet. I know you saw in the finish that in the parts of the finish, I hit him with a check hook, and then I saw him get hurt. He took a knee for a second, and then I kind of got excited, and I threw a big overhand, and then he kind of grabbed me, and I don't know if you guys can tell in the video or not, he kind of pulled guard. He kind of just fell back. He's obviously just trying to get to where he was comfortable at on the ground. And I just kind of said, screw it, you know. I felt that I was in a good position with him pressed up against the cage and his head like that. And I had him, my head had him pinned up against the cage. And I saw his hand was open for me to take and grab that Dagestani.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're very present in the moment when you fight, not only between rounds thinking about what you did in the first round, but also in that second round being able to talk about exactly how that sequence went down for you to be in that position. Is that accurate, that you do a good job of just being present while you're fighting?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm really good about being present while I'm fighting. I don't think that I'm thinking to my best case of capability, obviously. I'm definitely way smarter and think more clearly when I'm sparring. I let him take me down, which I'm still upset about, but yeah.
So can you walk me through the finish that took place 51 seconds into the second round when your opponent actually tapped due to ground and pound, and did that surprise you when you actually felt him tap on your back?
Yeah, I was really surprised. Yeah, I would never expect someone to want to quit to that. I was definitely hitting with some hard shots. I was told after that he went out for a little bit and he went to the ER after. But yeah, so they were definitely hard shots, but I never expected him to tap from that, honestly. I didn't even know he was tapping.
Yeah, I mean, what's your reaction to that after the fight when you hear that he went out and had to go to the ER, where you're like, damn, I got some extra power in my strikes? Are you concerned for him at all? Like, what are those emotions like after the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt bad, but you got to expect that going into a fight. Everyone thinks that. That's their worst nightmare. That's their worst fear every time they go in a fight, that they could potentially be knocked out. And yeah, I never expected him to go out from those punches. They were hard, but I didn't expect it.
I mean, that's a pretty good credit for you, though, dealing that much damage on the ground like that. That's pretty badass, right? Having that little stripe on your card.
Yeah. I mean, that was the goal going in there, to knock him out. I just wanted to do it on the feet.
Fair enough, man. All things considered, it being a short notice fight, having to compete without your head coach and being tested going into the second round for the first time, would you say that you're happy with the performance in your last fight?
I'm happy with the outcome. I'm happy with just getting the win and the finish. That's always the goal, just finish and get the win. But no, I'm not happy with my performance. I wanted to stay on the feet and I wanted to show my takedown defense. And I wanted to knock him out on the feet. I wanted to show off my striking, and I don't think that I showed the level of my striking in that last fight. I let him, seeing how when he got wild, it made me get wild, and I shouldn't have let that happen. I should have, when he was throwing those big overhands and throwing those big hooks, I should have, backed up, circled, and reset. I kind of just, after I got hit with that first shot, he kind of hit me in the back of the head a little bit, not on purpose, obviously. But I don't know, it just kind of pissed me off and just started banging.
I love that answer, because that feeling is going to motivate you to get better moving forward in future fights. And I mentioned things like it being the first time you've gone to the second round, not having your head coach, the short notice, and those three things could be excuses, but it sounds like you don't see it like that, and you would have judged your performance whether it was on 10 days notice or 3 months notice.
No, yeah, I mean, all of my fights, I've had so many things to complain about for myself. Every fight that I've had, I haven't been exactly proud of. I've been proud of just getting the win and getting the finish, but every single fight I look back and I look on YouTube and I shake my head at it, but yeah.
Talking with MB3 Matt Brown here on Forged in Ohio. Let's talk about some of your other fights now. You're 3-1 and have never seen the judges' scorecard since debuting last year. Are you happy with where you're at a year into your amateur career?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a year yet. It's 10 months since my first fight. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with my record and how far I've come in only 20 months of training. I didn't even come in with any experience. I literally showed up to Apex with no experience at all, no wrestling, nothing. Just came in there fresh. And yeah, I'm more than happy with my record and how my career's gone so far.
Yeah, let's talk about Apex Fight Systems. When did you first come across Apex, and what encouraged you to walk through those doors for the first time?
I mean, honestly, I just looked up MMA gyms, and it was the closest and first one. I DM'd Brian on Instagram, and that's how it started.
Was there something that hooked you, that first practice or something like that, maybe the first week in the gym, that you realized that this was the MMA gym for you?
I mean, it's all I know. I've never went to another gym. I went to one other gym to spar one time, and that's it. But yeah, just the teammates, Brian especially, I just knew that this is where I wanted to be.
I know you've done some recruiting yourself, having talked to your teammate Jack the Ripper Shaw on Forged in Ohio. He mentioned how you were the one who brought him in. What's that dynamic like? And I'm sure now a pretty good friendship that's been built between you and Jack.
For sure. I mean, we were friends in high school. I played football with him growing up. Just our groups of friends were mutual friends with him. My youngest brother is like best friends with his youngest brother. We actually went on vacation in June together. Our families are really close. So, yeah, I mean, it's been awesome working with Jack and bringing him along. I knew from before his first time stepping in the gym that he was going to be a monster in the sport. And I'm so proud of his progress. I mean, he's gotten a 3-0. I mean, 3 wins faster than me. What was it, like 4 or 5 months? 3 first-round finishes. I mean, I'm more than happy for him.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch both of your rises in mixed martial arts. And that vacation, is that when I interviewed Jack actually on Forged in Ohio, on that vacation you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel bad for that, but it was great to have him on the show and now you on the show as well. And 2 Green Bulldogs representing Apex Fight Systems. I love to see it. How exciting is that in general to be a part of a group of guys that are killers at Apex in that room that I'm sure are constantly pushing you to become better as well?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, we have so many killers in the room that are always pushing each other. I'm always pushing everyone as well. We're always supporting each other. Yeah, I mean, I love the environment there.
Going back to your record, you lost your second fight to Charles Phillips after winning your debut. How did you digest that result, and what did you learn most from that experience?
Well, I did not follow the game plan whatsoever. The game plan was to stay on the feet. We knew that he was good on the ground from the 10 minutes that we talked about before I took the fight. They just pretty much told me he was good on the ground, and then my coach was like, I think that you're definitely better than him on the feet. I think that you could be potentially better than him on the ground as well, but to play it safe, stay on the feet. But I don't know. I just saw the opportunity to take him down, and it was just kind of second nature when I saw him on the cage, and I really wish I wouldn't have done that.
Competing after the loss at Cage Thunder Next Gen Fight Series 1, where you were victorious, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but was there maybe more riding on that fight to make sure the loss didn't become a losing streak?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I put a ton of pressure on myself. I mean, every fight I put a ton of pressure on myself. I hate to lose. After that second fight, that was really tough on me. So I mean, it would have been really tough if I would have lost another one. Let's just say that. Yeah, I took my training up 3-4 times a notch. I really was making sure I was going to get that win.
Yeah, man. Is it safe to say that you had a competitive edge going into that one with how much you were training? And I'm sure the mindset, too, of how motivated you were just to get back in the win column and get a win.
Yeah, I was more than motivated. I needed that win. I needed that win for sure.
Yeah, and you've bounced back really nicely with back-to-back wins inside the distance. Has any of what you've done so far surprised you in MMA, being 3-1 with 3 finishes to start your career in 10 or so months, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been surprising. I did not think that I would get a finish every single time. That was always the goal. But, with the experience that I had, I expected worse for myself, but yeah, I mean, I think I've done really well for the experience I've had. I mean, everyone that I fought has had way more experience than me, so I'm definitely proud that I'm definitely proud of that.
How much have you noticed your development and growth as a fighter in the last year or so since you started fighting?
I mean, it seems like every practice I get better. I mean, every week I'm noticing different things. I'm working on different things. Yeah, it's insane how fast how fast I've grown, and it just seems like every like 6 months that I just have the new skills that I can use, and yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is that part of the addicting quality of mixed martial arts and this sport in general, is just being able to grow that quickly and learn more things in this sport, and like next practice you pull off this and you're like, yeah, that was exciting, I want to learn more, I want to do more? Is that part of why you love it so much?
For sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, I know from just watching UC fighters talk about that there's always going to be room to grow. There's always room to grow. There's always something to work on. You should always be working on what you're not good at it, what your weaknesses are. And I never want to have a weakness. Like, I don't ever want to be a bad striker, a bad ground guy. I want to be well-rounded, I mean, as everyone knows. But, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Is there a performance that sticks out the most? And I know you like to nitpick. You said not every performance is perfect, but maybe even parts of each one that you like that you would call your favorite fight so far?
I would say my third fight for sure, just because I think I made the least amount of mistakes in that fight, and just how smooth it went.
Once again, this is MB3 Matt Brown here on Forged in Ohio. I wanted to get into your latest wins and fights to start, but I still feel like there's a lot more to learn about Matt Brown. You're only 22 years old, like I've talked about, but when did your journey in combat sports actually kick off?
My first practice, I think, was in November of 2022, but I didn't really start coming consistently until December or January. So yeah, it's been 20 months now. I'll say 2 years in December.
Yeah, so 20 months or so. What actually encouraged you to look up MMA gyms, find Apex? What was it that brought you into combat sports itself?
Well, one day I was just watching UFC. That's pretty much when I started getting into it, just watching clips, and then I just started watching the fights on Saturday nights. And I don't know exactly what fight it was. I wish I could remember, but they were talking about one of the fighters' stories, and it just kind of hit me that I could do this too. I could potentially do this too, and that it could potentially be a career for me. It was at a time, it was in like my junior year of high school, when I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and it just felt right when I got the idea in my head. It just felt like that was what I want to do and what I feel like I'm here to do. And I kind of gave up on sports in high school, and I really regretted that. I played football and basketball my freshman and sophomore year, and I had some injuries, kind of got fat, and I was going through a lot of mental stuff in high school. And when I saw that fight and had the idea in my head, that I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And my senior year, I wanted to wrestle to help myself. And so I wanted to do that my first year. And then once I was done with that, start training MMA. But my first practice, I actually tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So that kind of set me back for a little bit. I just, after that, I just lifted for like a year or two, or it was like a year and a half too. And then I finally reached a point where I was ready, where I felt like I was ready with my knee. And that's when I stepped into Apex.
Man, that is an incredible story. That first practice where you get injured that severely, how did that not discourage you from trying this whole MMA route in general? Was it just because you knew, like you said, that this was something that you wanted to do, almost that you needed to do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been telling people since junior year that I wanted to go in the UFC. So before I ever even stepped into the wrestling room, before I ever stepped into Apex, I've been telling people that, and they all thought I was crazy. Like, I even asked my friends recently, I was like, did you guys think I was really going to fight when I was telling you guys this in high school? And they were like, no, but props to you. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, was that the point in life where you realized that you wanted to fight and that it was inevitable in your mind that you would give it a try in that junior year or so of high school?
For sure. For sure.
And now that you've given it a try and have returned to the cage three more times, is it safe to say that it's something that you're driven towards and you're in it for the long haul now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's set in stone. This is all I want to do. This is all I mean, just like I said, I've said it since junior year that I want to be in the UFC, and I'm going to make it happen.
And with that injury on the first day of practice that you were talking about, I know looking at your Tapology, you like being active. You're in there 2 months after fight sometimes. Do you feel like you almost have to make up for lost time with that injury? Like, you're 22 years old now, but maybe you have double the amount of fights if you weren't injured like you were.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wish that didn't happen so I could have been farther ahead in my career. But, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at right now.
I have to ask what's next for you as well. I know Cage Thunder's next card is going down in October. Is that too soon for you, or could fans expect to see MB3 Matt Brown on that card?
I wish I want to, but at this point in my career, I don't think it's really smart for me for the level of competition that I'm about to face now that I'm 3-1. I just want to get my experience up. And, I mean, I want to get in there. Trust me, I want to get in there. But I don't want to take dumb fights. I felt like I won't say that. I kind of felt like my second fight was dumb just because it was short notice. I didn't know anything really about the guy, and it was up 2 weight classes. But I am glad that I went through that, and I'm glad that I had that loss to motivate me now. And I mean, what I just said sounds like excuses, but it was really my own fault. I mean, I got caught, I took him down, and he set up a great triangle, you know, and I panicked. I shouldn't have reacted the way I did. I mean, I've drilled triangles over and over again, and I'm still really upset with myself in the way that I panicked after.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, earlier I asked you what you learned most from that fight, and not only just in the fight in terms of sticking to the game plan and things like that, but also just managing this fight game itself. You took the fight and you almost called it dumb there, but now you know, hey, the Cage Thunder's next card is in October, and as much as I'd like to fight on that card, maybe it doesn't make the most sense at where you're at in your career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't like to lose, so I want to make sure that I'm more than prepared for the level. Or, I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm fighting an 0-7 guy. I'm going to treat him like he's the best fighter in the world. And I put so much pressure on myself to make sure that I'm ready and I'm prepared and I'm going to get that win.
The longest layoff you've taken between fights so far has been 5 months. Are you at your happiest when you are active and you're staying in there competing?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's kind of hard. It's hard to motivate yourself at practice. Like when you have a fight and you know you have a fight, it's a different level of intensity at practice, and like you're knowing like if I don't work this hard, I could be potentially knocked out. That's what I almost tell myself. Like I know that's not like the right thing to say, but that's how I motivate myself. Like, hey, you could get knocked out if you're not giving it your all right now, or you're like anything that we're going over in practice. I'm like, I want to know this 100% because this could potentially be in the fight. You know, this triangles, guillotines, anything I want to be prepared for, striking.
For sure. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's probably the mindset I'd have if I were ever to fight myself. Like, yeah, if I don't give this my all, you know, something bad could happen to me in that cage as well. Where you're at right now, you know, I know you said October's too close, but do you think you get another one in before the end of the year, end of 2024?
I hope so. it just depends on the opportunities that come up, what's going on in my life at the time. I just started a new job, so that's another reason why I don't want to fight so early. I just got a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. But yeah, but the main reason is just to get my experience up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Sitting at 3-1 with an exciting resume and exciting style, do you think you're close to fighting for your first amateur title?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been offered before. I definitely think I am ready. I mean, I'm for my for my record, I'm definitely ready, but I want to have more experience. I want to take my time. I still think that I'm young at 22. I plan on being pro by 2026 at the latest, but I want to be pro in 2025 at some point. Yeah.
For sure, man. With your style and resume, you're 3-1, like you talked about. Would you be willing to bet that your next fight is for an amateur title, or are you okay with, taking another high level fight and getting that experience and then maybe chasing that goal down the line?
Yeah, I honestly don't care when it comes. I'm not gonna rush it or anything. Obviously, it depends on what promotion I fight for. I don't believe I'll get a title shot. I know I won't get a title shot for Cage Thunder right now. But yeah, I mean, I do want to get that title for Cage Thunder, though.
Yeah, would you say that's one of your goals right now, to earn and win an amateur MMA championship, regardless of promotion? But like you said, for Cage Thunder, if that opportunity comes around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everyone's goal. I definitely want that. I definitely want a belt.
Are there any other goals that you have in mixed martial arts, no matter how big or small they might be, or do you try to stay in the moment and go one day at a time at this?
I definitely want to get a finish on the feet. That's been a goal for every one of my fights, really. I mean, besides my third one, it was the opportunity could have been there. I could have stayed on the feet with that guy for sure, but I was 1-1 at the time, and I saw that I knew that he didn't have much on the ground, and I knew that was the best way to approach that fight. But yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're hungry for that standing knockout, but I know chasing a result is never a good thing in mixed martial arts because it can get you caught in other areas. Is it hard to stay focused on whatever the game plan is for that fight and not be like, man, I really want that standing knockout in the worst way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the two fights that I had that I was going in there planning on trying to knock him out or staying on the feet, I was kind of forced to go to the ground. But yeah, I mean, I guess that could get you in trouble, especially with my first fight. Yeah, for sure. Because in my first fight, I kind of just forgot that the takedown was there. I wasn't thinking too much in my first fight, and I was just swinging crazy and didn't even think about the takedowns, honestly.
All right, man. Well, I think that's all I got for you. Before we wrap up, anything you want to shout out or plug here at the back end of the podcast, I'll give you the floor here.
I just want to shout out my Instagram. It's Matt Brown MMA. Shout out to Jack Shaw. Shout out to my coach, Brian. Shout out to Mylan and Roman for giving me that fight. And I appreciate for you letting me come on.
Of course, man. The honor's mine. I thank you for coming on the show. It's pretty overdue for me to have you on Forged in Ohio, and I'm grateful that we were able to get together here for episode 91. One more thing before I let you go. It's the OHIO chant that I do with Fighters Tent each and every episode. So, OH...
IO.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate the time. Congrats on what was a pretty wild win last month, all things considered, and I'm looking forward to covering the rise of MB3 Matt Brown moving forward.
I appreciate you.
That was MB3 Matt Brown, the 3-1 amateur mixed martial artist. There's no way you haven't been entertained if you've watched any of Matt's fights. He's extremely exciting. His longest fight before his last one, which went into the second round, only lasted 2 minutes and 8 seconds. I've obviously featured a lot of Apex fighters on the show. I've even had their head coach Brian Clark on before, but Matt is definitely someone who can take this far, and who knows, maybe he's a win or two away from that amateur title shot that we talked about. If you enjoyed this episode, then make sure to give the show a follow on social media at Forged in Ohio on both Instagram and Facebook. Let me know who you want to hear from the show next. I know Cage Fighter 28 Fight Night in the Flats just went down, and don't worry, winners from that card are coming very, very soon. Until then, don't forget to download episodes on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video if you're watching there. Thank you all for watching or tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Jake Murren, and this was Forged in Ohio.